On a distant planet deep in the Zalorian galaxy, the alien council gathered in their grand chamber. The room glimmered with bright lights and strange symbols danced across the walls. The Zalorians, tall and powerful beings with shimmering skin, buzzed with excitement and fear. They had received alarming news about a human. Council leader Zarek stood at the front, his voice booming. "We have a mission!" He waved his arm, and a holographic image of Earth appeared in the air. A human has discovered a powerful artifact on a distant world. We must act quickly before this human becomes a threat to us all. The council members murmured among themselves. Some nodded in agreement while others looked uneasy. Korak, a young warrior with bright blue skin and sharp features, felt a chill run down his spine. He had heard stories about humans, stories of their cleverness and courage. As Zarek explained the mission details, Korak's heart raced. "This human has something we cannot allow to fall into the wrong hands," Zarek continued. "We will send our best team to capture the artifact and neutralize the human." Korak glanced at his fellow warriors. Some looked ready for battle, but others, like him, seemed unsure. Zarek assigned the mission to a team of elite warriors, all trained for combat and strategy. As they prepared to leave, Korak felt a growing unease. He had trained hard for this moment, but the thought of targeting a human troubled him. He remembered stories of humans who fought against impossible odds and won. They were not just simple creatures, they were resilient and unpredictable. The warriors gathered in the ship's docking bay, donning their battle gear. The air was thick with tension as they loaded weapons and checked their gear. Korak stood back, watching his comrades. "Are we sure we want to do this?" he asked quietly. "What if this human fights back?" One of the older warriors, Jorak, chuckled. "A human? How dangerous can they be? We are the Zalorians. We have faced worse enemies than a mere human." Korak frowned. "But we don't know what they're capable of. I've heard stories about their bravery. We could be walking into a trap." As they prepared for takeoff, the team's mood shifted. Zarek sensed the hesitation among them. "Listen, warriors," he said, trying to rally their spirits. "We are the strongest in the galaxy! A human cannot stand against us. We will succeed." Despite Zarek's words, doubt lingered in Korak's mind. The ship's engines roared to life, and the warriors strapped themselves into their seats. As the ship launched into the void of space, Korak gazed out the window. The stars twinkled like diamonds against the dark canvas of the universe, but his thoughts were heavy with worry. They traveled through the stars, heading toward the distant planet where the human waited. As they flew, Korak could not shake the feeling that they were making a mistake. The image of the human, small, fragile yet determined, filled his mind. He wondered if they could truly capture such a being without consequence. Finally, they entered the planet's atmosphere, and the ship shook with turbulence. Korak's heart raced as they descended. He looked at his teammates who were focused and determined, ready for battle. He felt a mix of fear and excitement. What if this human was more than they expected? As the ship landed, Korak took a deep breath. The ground was rocky and dry with strange plants surrounding them. The team gathered around Zarek for the final briefing. "Remember, our goal is to secure the artifact and take out the human if necessary. Follow my lead." Korak's stomach churned. He raised his hand. "What if we don't need to fight? What if we can reason with them?" The warriors turned to look at him, surprised by his boldness. Zarek frowned. "We do not have time for discussions. We must act now." Korak felt a knot in his stomach. As the team prepared to leave the ship, he whispered to himself, "I hope I'm wrong." But deep down, he knew they were about to face something far more complex than they ever imagined. The mission had begun, and all Korak could do was hope for the best as they stepped into the unknown. As the Zalorian warriors stepped off their ship, a wave of heat hit them. The air was dry and thick, filled with unfamiliar scents. Korak looked around, feeling a mix of excitement and fear. They had landed on the planet where the human was said to be, but the uncertainty of their mission weighed heavily on him. Captain Zarek led the group, his confidence shining through. "Stay alert," he commanded. "We must find the human and the artifact quickly. Move out!" The team split into smaller groups, scanning the area for any signs of life. Korak found himself paired with Jorak, the seasoned warrior who had laughed off his concerns before. As they walked, Jorak grinned. "This will be easy, Korak. We'll be back home before you know it, boasting about our victory over a human." Korak shrugged, still feeling uneasy. But what if the human surprises us? What if they fight back? Jorak scoffed. You worry too much. Humans are weak. We are the Zalorians. We don't back down from a fight. As they continued through the rocky terrain, Korak couldn't shake his doubts. They came upon a cluster of strange plants, their colors vibrant and alien. Korak stopped to examine one, its petals glowing softly. Look at these plants. They seem unique. Maybe this planet has more secrets than we know. Jorak rolled his eyes. Focus, Korak. We're not here to admire the flowers. But Korak sensed that this planet held more than just beauty. It was full of surprises, just like the human they were hunting. The team moved deeper into the landscape, and Korak overheard other warriors talking. Why are we targeting a human? One warrior asked. They're not a real threat. We've fought much stronger foes. I know, right? Another replied. What's the point of this mission? We could be hunting down actual enemies instead. Korak's heart raced as he heard their words. It seemed he wasn't the only one feeling unsure about their mission. He quickened his pace to catch up with Zarek, who was leading the way. Captain, what if we're making a mistake? Korak blurted out. Zarek turned to him, a frown on his face. What do you mean? Korak took a deep breath. I've heard stories about humans. They may be small, but they are clever and resourceful. What if they have allies nearby? What if they're not as weak as we think? Zarek raised an eyebrow. Are you suggesting we turn back? No, not turn back, Korak replied, his voice urgent. But we should be careful. We can't underestimate them. The other warriors who had been listening exchanged glances. Zarek's frown deepened. We cannot let fear dictate our actions. We are here on a mission. We must show strength and determination. Korak felt frustration boil inside him.
But strength isn't just about power.
It's about understanding who we are up against. Jorak stepped in, trying to calm the tension. Let's not fight among ourselves. We're all on the same side. Korak, you make good points, but we cannot forget why we are here. We have a duty to fulfill. As they continued, the doubts among the warriors grew. They reached a rocky outcrop overlooking a valley. Below them, Korak spotted a small human settlement. He squinted, trying to make out figures moving around. Look! He shouted, pointing. There. The team gathered around, staring at the scene below. The human settlement appeared peaceful, with small structures made of wood and stone. People moved about, unaware of the alien visitors watching from above. Is that the human we're after? One warrior asked, his voice laced with doubt. It must be, Zarek replied, his confidence wavering. But where is the artifact? Korak couldn't help but feel a sense of dread. The humans seemed so small and vulnerable, yet he knew their reputation. We should approach with caution, he urged. The other warriors nodded slowly, their initial excitement turning to hesitation. As they prepared to descend, Korak wondered if they could really go through with their mission. The human world looked so different from theirs, filled with life and warmth. As they made their way down, Korak thought of the stories he had heard. Humans could be fierce, and he feared that they were about to make a grave mistake. The mission to capture a human was becoming more complicated than anyone had anticipated, and Korak hoped they could find a way to turn this encounter into something more than just a battle. As the Zalorian warriors descended the rocky path, a feeling of tension hung in the air. Korak led the way, his heart racing as they approached the small human settlement below. He could see the figures moving about, busy with their daily tasks. It was hard to believe they were supposed to be their enemies. When they finally reached the bottom, Zarek turned to the group. Stay low and keep quiet. We don't want to alert them to our presence. The warriors nodded, their eyes focused on the human settlement. Korak peered through the bushes, trying to get a closer look. He could see a human woman tending to a small garden, her hands moving carefully among the plants. She seemed peaceful, unaware of the danger lurking nearby. Look at her, Korak whispered to Jorak. She doesn't look like a threat. Jorak shrugged. Don't let her calmness fool you. Humans can be tricky. Just then, a loud rumble echoed from the nearby hills. The warriors froze, glancing at one another with wide eyes. What was that? One of them asked, looking nervously at Zarek. Zarek waved a hand. Stay focused. It's probably just an animal. But Korak felt a sense of unease creeping in. The more they watched the humans, the more human they seemed, and the less like enemies. Suddenly, a small figure burst out of one of the huts. It was a young human boy, laughing and playing. Korak couldn't help but feel a pang of sympathy. What kind of threat is a child? He murmured. Before anyone could respond, a council member arrived, out of breath and frantic. "Wait!" he shouted, running toward them. The warriors turned, surprised to see a familiar face. It was Council Member Tarek, an older Zalorian known for his wisdom. "Council Member Tarek, what are you doing here?" Zarek asked, his tone a mix of confusion and annoyance. Tarek raised his hands, signaling for them to listen. "I bring important news. We cannot proceed with the mission. There is more to this human than we thought." The warriors exchanged looks, curiosity piqued. "What do you mean?" Korak asked, stepping forward. Tarek took a deep breath. "I received new information from the council. This human is not just an ordinary being. She has a history of bravery and resilience. She has fought against powerful foes and survived against all odds." "What? How is that possible?" Jorak questioned, disbelief etched on his face. Tarek nodded. "There are tales of humans rising to greatness in the face of danger. They have faced beasts far stronger than themselves and won. This particular human has faced many challenges, and she is known for her cleverness." Korak felt his heart race. "So she's not just some simple target? We could be making a huge mistake." Zarek frowned, clearly irritated. "What are you suggesting, Tarek? That we back down now? We have a mission." "Think about it, Zarek," Tarek urged. "If we attack her without understanding her capabilities, we could unleash something terrible upon ourselves. Humans are not to be underestimated." The group fell silent as they processed Tarek's words. Korak felt a mixture of fear and respect for the human they were hunting. "We should learn more about her before taking any action," he said, glancing around at his comrades. Zarek crossed his arms, clearly conflicted. "But what if she is dangerous? We cannot let our guard down." Tarek looked at the settlement, his eyes filled with concern. "I believe she could be an ally instead of an enemy. Perhaps we should try to communicate with her instead of attacking." The warriors began to murmur among themselves, weighing Tarek's words. Korak's heart leaped at the idea of not going into battle. "What if we approach her carefully? Maybe we can learn from her. Find out what she knows about the artifact." Jorak scratched his head. "But what if she doesn't want to talk? Humans can be unpredictable." "Then we adapt," Korak replied firmly. "We are warriors. We can find a way to communicate without violence. We must be smart about this." Zarek sighed, looking at the humans below. "Fine. We will try to approach them peacefully, but we must remain ready for anything. If things go south, we will defend ourselves." The warriors nodded in agreement, their spirits lifting at the possibility of a different outcome. With newfound determination, they crept closer to the settlement, ready to see what the future held. Korak felt a glimmer of hope. Maybe this mission could turn into something meaningful instead of a simple hunt. He could not shake the feeling that they were on the brink of an important discovery, one that could change everything they thought they knew about humans. As the Zalorian warriors moved closer to the human settlement, Korak felt a mix of excitement and anxiety. The vibrant colors of the human village contrasted sharply with the rocky landscape they had just traversed. He could see humans working, laughing, and playing, completely unaware of the aliens watching them. Zarek led the group, keeping his expression serious. "Remember, we approach with caution. We don't want to scare them." Korak nodded, his heart pounding as they neared the first small house. They reached the edge of the village, hiding behind some bushes. Korak could hear the laughter of children and the sound of metal clanging in the distance. He spotted the woman they had seen earlier, still tending to her garden. "We need to find a way to get her attention without startling her," Korak suggested. "Let's send someone out to call to her," Jorak proposed, looking around. "I'll do it." "No, wait!" Korak interjected. "You could frighten her. We should approach slowly and calmly." Zarek considered Korak's words, then nodded. "Very well. Korak, you go. You seem to understand humans better than the rest of us." Korak took a deep breath, stepping out from behind the bushes. As he walked towards the woman, he felt the weight of his armor pressing down on him. The other warriors watched intently, their eyes filled with a mixture of hope and worry. "Hello?" Korak called out, his voice steady despite the nervous flutter in his stomach. The woman turned, her eyes widening as she spotted the tall, blue-skinned alien approaching. Korak raised his hands to show he meant no harm. "We come in peace. We are not here to hurt you." The woman looked unsure, her expression shifting between curiosity and fear. "Who are you?" she asked, her voice trembling slightly. "What do you want?" Korak took another step closer, lowering his hands. "My name is Korak. I am a warrior from another world. We have come to talk to you. The woman's eyes narrowed as she studied him. Talk? Why would you want to talk to me? Are you here to attack us? Korak shook his head vigorously. No! We are not your enemies. We have heard about you and your strength. We want to understand what you know about the artifact. At the mention of the artifact, the woman's expression changed. The artifact? You mean the one in the cave? Korak nodded. Yes, we need to know more about it. The woman seemed to relax slightly, her curiosity piqued. What do you want with it? Korak hesitated, trying to find the right words. We were sent to retrieve it. But now we want to learn about it first. We heard it could be dangerous. The woman crossed her arms, her gaze piercing. And why should I trust you? You came here with weapons. How do I know you won't turn against me? Korak took a deep breath. He needed to convince her. Because I believe in understanding before fighting. We do not want to harm you or your people. We want to help. Help? She echoed, skepticism evident in her voice. How can you help if you came to take something from me? Maybe we can work together, Korak suggested, feeling hopeful. We can learn from each other. You know about the artifact, and we have skills that could benefit you. The woman paused, considering his words. Korak could see the gears turning in her mind. All right, I'll tell you what I know, she finally said, her voice firm. But first, you need to leave your weapons behind. I won't talk to someone who is armed. Zarek, who had been watching closely, stepped forward. That is a reasonable request. We will leave our weapons with you. Korak turned to the warriors, who exchanged uncertain glances. Jorak looked skeptical. Are you sure about this? Korak nodded, his heart racing. We need to take this chance. It could change everything. Slowly, the warriors removed their weapons and placed them on the ground. Korak felt a sense of relief wash over him. It was a small step, but it showed their willingness to cooperate. The woman watched them closely, then gestured for Korak to follow her. Come with me. I'll tell you what I know about the artifact. As they walked deeper into the village, Korak felt a sense of hope blossoming. This was their chance to build a bridge between their worlds. Maybe, just maybe, they could turn this mission into something meaningful. The warriors had set out to conquer a human, but now they were embarking on a journey of understanding, a journey that could change everything for both their species. As Korak followed the woman into the heart of the village, he felt a mix of hope and excitement. The colorful homes and the warm laughter of children surrounded him, creating a stark contrast to the cold mission he had come to complete. He glanced back at his fellow warriors who watched with curiosity and apprehension. They had crossed a line, leaving their weapons behind, and now they were about to learn something new. The woman led him to a small, cozy hut adorned with flowers and hanging vines. Inside, the air was filled with the scent of fresh herbs and spices. Korak took a moment to admire the simple beauty of the space. The walls were lined with pictures of humans and their families, each frame telling a story of love and life. Sit, the woman said, motioning to a low wooden table. Korak obeyed, taking a seat on a cushion as she joined him. My name is Alara, she said, her voice steady. Now tell me why you want to know about the artifact. Korak nodded, eager to share their intentions. We heard it holds great power, and that it could be dangerous in the wrong hands. We were sent to retrieve it, but now we see things differently. We want to understand its significance and ensure it is protected. Alara raised an eyebrow. Protected? From whom? Are there others like you out there looking for it? Yes, Korak replied, his tone serious. Our council believes the artifact could be used as a weapon, and they fear what might happen if it falls into the wrong hands. We need to know what we are dealing with. Alara leaned back, contemplating his words. The artifact you seek is ancient. It was created long ago by my ancestors. It has the power to heal, but also to destroy. It was hidden away to prevent it from being misused. Korak's heart raced. Hidden? Where? Can you show us? Alara shook her head. It's not that simple. The location is sacred, and only those who understand its power can access it. If you truly wish to help, you must prove your intentions. How do we prove ourselves? Korak asked, his curiosity growing. You will need to demonstrate that you can respect the artifact and its history, Alara replied. That means you must help our village. We face dangers of our own, and if you can show us that you are more than just warriors, we can talk about the artifact further. Korak felt a sense of purpose surge within him. What do you need help with? Alara smiled, a glimmer of hope shining in her eyes. We have been struggling against a band of raiders who have been stealing our supplies and threatening our people. If you can assist us in driving them away, it would show your commitment to protecting our home and the artifact." Korak looked back at his fellow warriors, who were listening intently. They had come here to conquer, but now they had a chance to build a connection. "We will help you, Alara," Korak declared, determination filling his voice. "Tell us what to do." Alara nodded, clearly relieved. "Thank you. We will need to plan an ambush to catch the raiders off guard. They usually come from the north, near the old forest. If we work together, we can send them a message." Zarek stepped forward, his expression now serious. "We have skills that can aid you in this battle. We can scout the area and set traps." "Good," Alara said, her confidence returning. "But remember, this isn't just about fighting. We must protect our people and their way of life. We need to strategize." As the group began to discuss their plan, Korak felt a sense of unity forming among them. They were no longer just warriors from different worlds. They were allies, working together for a common goal. Korak exchanged glances with his fellow warriors, and he could see the change in their attitudes. Doubts were replaced with resolve, and fear gave way to a sense of purpose. They spent the rest of the day planning their ambush, blending their strategies with Alara's knowledge of the terrain. Korak learned about the raiders, their habits, their strengths, and their weaknesses. He felt a growing bond with Alara as they shared stories of their worlds, learning from each other's experiences. As night fell, Korak looked up at the stars, feeling a sense of hope wash over him. They were on the brink of something new, a partnership that could change the course of their lives. The mission that had begun with conquest was now transforming into an opportunity for understanding and cooperation. In that moment, Korak realized that they were not just building bridges between their worlds, they were creating a future where both humans and Zalorians could coexist, united in their fight for what truly mattered: peace, understanding, and a better tomorrow.